Hi, I'm going to give a presentation on how I teach slam poetry, something that I've been doing now for the last few years. And we have a competition at the end of the year in the whole school, and my class has been successful, so I was asked at the faculty retreat to present my method. So I will show you my presentation. So I'm into traditional poetry. I'm in school for it now. It's kind of my specialty, so we spend a good amount of time focusing on that throughout the year. But slam poetry was completely new to me. I didn't know how to teach it. I didn't even know exactly what it was. So I was trying to figure out how can we turn this kind of mindset into this kind of mindset. And the first thing we did was watch Louder Than a Bomb, which is an amazing documentary, a really moving documentary about high school kids in Chicago and a poetry slam competition. This gets the kids really amped up to start. We also watch established performance poets. Anis Mojgani, the guy on the right here, actually came to Paideia last year to perform, and that was extremely exciting. I will leave links on the YouTube video for if you all are interested in seeing more from them. Then as a class we come up with the characteristics after watching our models perform. What makes a successful slam poem? I turn it over to the kids, they compile this list, and then we begin to write. And here's the process. We start composing using a variety of prompts, some from what we're reading, some from their personal lives, but I try to get them excited, and for some kids who have trouble getting started, I try to give them a way to get started where they not even thinking about it. So with a variety of prompts, they end up composing a poem they want to continue with. Then they revise it. Throughout this process, there's a ton of revision. I emphasize that with almost all writing: revision, revision, revision. And in between the revision, they get my feedback, they get feedback from their peers, and they get feedback often from their parents as well. Let me show you the revision process. The revision process is done on Google Drive, which is really cool for me because I can see all of the times that the student revises. By going to File, Revision History, I can see every time she has opened the document, when she's worked on it, how long she's worked on it, what exactly she's done. Her changes are in pink here on each step. So I can see where her mind's at, where she's going with the poem, how much work she's done on the poem, how into it she is, and that's extremely helpful along the way. When we workshop our poems, here's a picture of kids workshopping last year. It was a nice day. Usually it's not as casual of a setting, but I feel like workshopping is really important because, again, it makes the students teachers and students at the same time. They're at the center of it all. These are important skills I feel like they build from workshop. They learn what to ignore, what to take. They're able to compare their work with others. They're able to take and give critique. They have to shut up and listen, which for some of them is very difficult, but I think it's a valuable skill because they read their poem and then they have to be quiet the rest of the time. They get to practice their performance, and they're able to kind of reflect on and spend some time with their work. Here's a sample workshop guide here. If you want to pause the video, you can read through it. If not, of course, that's fine too. But the kids go through this. There's usually a leader in the group. They go through a guide, something like this. This was ours from last year, but it's always kind of evolving. And the kids answer the questions and say what they think. Some of these questions result in very positive, encouraging answers, and some result in critiques. So back to the process here. They have to memorize their poems. I think this is a rare and valuable skill, but it forces them to really become somewhat intimate with their words, comfortable with their words. Their voice has to be just right, and often they'll do some revising during this stage. And eventually they get to the performance piece. Here is, again, the list that we came up with, and I've attached audio from our winner from last year's slam to show kind of how she used these characteristics in her poem. So let me play a few for you.
I go to the doctor, and they ask me, if I do drugs, if I drink, or if I smoke.
Okay, so that's a very personal, specific example from her life. Then we noticed that a lot of slam poems kind of create a bridge between the specific to the universal to speak to everyone that's listening. Here's how she did it.
I'm scared to grow up. And I can bet that most of the kids in this room are too.
Okay. With techniques, we'll listen to how she used hyperbole.
What if when I vote when I get older, I vote for the wrong candidate, and then he or she is elected and starts a war or executes half the country and we all die?
All right. And now we'll hear how she shifts in her performance, how she shifts the tone of her voice. And this is what really won it for her, is her performance.
But I have to grow up eventually. And that's a truth I'm not ready to accept. So I will keep watching Alvin and the Chipmunks. I will keep going to the playground. And when the 5-year-olds look at me funny, I'll say, you're just jealous because I can get on the swing all by myself.
And one of the big highlights for her was I have a poetry radio show on the local Georgia State University radio, and we had a slam show, and she read her poem on the air. Actually, I recorded it, and we played it on the air, and that was the highlight. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thanks.